You followed the training, you've built the skills, and you became the therapist. But now you're wondering, is this it? Beyond the therapy room is where we have the conversations most therapists are thinking, but not saying out loud. There's Sky, psychologist and mentor, and Ali, counsellor and tantric healer, bringing two perspectives, clinical and intuitive, structured and expansive. We talk burnout, identity, spirituality, business, relationships, and what happens when you stop playing by the rules that you were trained in. This is for the therapist who knows there's more. Two different paths, two different perspectives, but the same truth. There's more available to you than the box you were trained in. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Therapy Room with Sky and Ali. And we want to touch space today and just recoup the last two episodes. We were talking a little bit about the common mistakes we see therapists make and the therapists that we need to become. So today we thought we'd dive a little bit deeper again and have a look at one of those internal barriers that keep showing up for people who support others. So it's not just about psychologists or counsellors, it's just people working with other people, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's the age-old term, imposter syndrome.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's how it feels, isn't it?
It doesn't it?
But because it's a big one. I think it's
Yeah.
huge, and the impact that it can have on us and the ability to keep us stuck is big too.
Yeah.
So I want to start by asking you, Sky, what does imposter syndrome mean to you? How would you describe it?
To me, imposter syndrome is when I get this massive rush of fear or anxiety around like not being good enough, right? And having this idea that other people think in a certain way and I can do a certain thing. And then in my mind going, oh, but I can't, like, that's not me. I'm not the good therapist, or I'm not the good supervisor. I'm not the whatever. It's an illusion.
So I heard there that you're receiving some feedback or a defining of yourself through someone else's perspective.
Yeah.
But there's a part of you that's doubting that that's true.
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
I think so. And I think we all experience it, where we have this idea of always falling short of something.
We're not able to provide something with, like you say, we're falling short, we're doubting our abilities, aren't we?
Yeah.
And so I think it doesn't matter whether you're new to supporting other humans or whether you've been doing it for decades. This is a universal internal barrier with self-doubt, that sneaky voice that creeps in. Lots of different scenarios and situations that kind of derails you a bit. Do you find that? It kind of...
Yeah, that inner critic. It's like, are you sure? Are you really good enough? Did you really have a good session with that person?
That's right.
Can you really run a business? Are you sure you can do a podcast?
Yeah, because it leaves you questioning, doesn't it?
Always.
Really questioning.
Yeah.
And so why is this happening, I wonder? Like, what do you, think about it yourselves, listeners out there. Why do you think that we're continually questioning our abilities and wondering if we're able to provide the services that we're trained to do or where our heart is calling us to do? What do you think that's about?
My brain says two things, right? One is I think that as health professionals, we actually want to help and we want to get it right and we don't want to make mistakes. And we, I think a lot of us appreciate how vulnerable the people are that we're working with. And so we want to ensure that we're doing all we can to provide a quality service. But I think it can kind of cross that line between quality service to, holy crap, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I'm failing people. And we fall into that realm of that imposter. When really what we're trying to do is actually just provide really good service for people.
Yeah, you're wanting to be a dependable clinician. And we know, like I say, people are coming in vulnerable or they're in a period of suffering or transition in their lives. And we don't get a manual in, hey, when this person presents in front of you, have this approach ready to go.
Literally, right?
So right, we're wanting to work very ethically, very responsibly, very dependably. And sometimes it can have us questioning, that questioning comes in. But I wonder too, sometimes I found myself ruminating probably longer than I need to about my client load or my client work or my client outcomes or even just how I present myself. What I said, did I say it right? Should I said something different?
Did I do enough?
How did it land? And so I think it's really useful to know where the line is too between good self-reflective practice and when does it become rumination and overthinking.
Yeah.
Would there be a line for you in that, Sky, when you'd be able to?
To me, one is about somebody else, right? How can I have best practice for the client? Sorry. And then the other one is like, am I good enough? So I think the line is when it starts to become about you and it becomes very critical about you, then chances are you kind of moved into imposter syndrome. When it's like, how can I grow, or what do I need to be doing in order to support the other person or to grow the business or whatever it might be, then chances are you're probably more in a growth space, right? I always talk about our strength is our curse. There's always a fine line between all of the things that we do, right?
Exactly. I love the way you're saying that. Our strength is our curse. Is that what you said?
I say it to everybody, right? Wherever you're, like, if you're kind, you might fall into people pleasing, right? If you love to be efficient, you're probably going to become the perfectionist, right? If you want to do best practice, you might fall into imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So let me elaborate on that a little more from my perspective too, because catching it, whether it's imposter syndrome, might be like you say, it's focusing on myself. How am I showing up? What am I doing, saying, not doing, not saying? And it's coming, this underlying self-doubt or this fear of exposure that
I'm the fraud.
I'm not this clinician everybody tells me I am.
Yeah.
Or feeling like I'm never good enough, and no matter how I do it or say it, if something's wrong.
Yeah.
Something's
I'm
wrong.
going to fuck something up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus, as you said, with the growth, if you are doing reflective practice, if you are seeking supervision, if you are, organising yourself between sessions or debriefing with colleagues, and you're open to learning, or even opening to, as you say, fucking it up or not getting it perfect. Sometimes we just don't know something, and it's okay to have a humility about us to go about learning what we don't know or filling those gaps ourselves too, isn't it?
I think we said it before we got on here, Ali, that I find that one of the traps around imposter syndrome is that you actually become the imposter. And I was talking in the context of, like, a lot of the times, especially I think as health professionals, we're quite switched on in knowing maybe what we're not as strong in or where we need to kind of do some work and things like that. But it's when we kind of hide those parts of ourselves that need growth, and we're not willing to share and we're not willing to be vulnerable, that we then feed into being an imposter.
The word coming up for me as you're vocalizing that is alone. If we isolate ourselves in our clinical practice and we're not debriefing with our colleagues or checking with our supervisor and connected to our networks or our learning pathways, that's probably when imposter syndrome is going to creep in more. That, and with the comparison culture that social media brings. Let's talk about that for a minute, Sky, because I know that's where I learned about this term. Online. So I didn't really understand or have a language for it other than self-doubt before that. So social media really brought that into my awareness. And then when I learned about it through that means, it really helped me to see where or how I was doing that. So you might see someone's professional website and their clinical offerings, or you might see their social media page or their signature program, or they're talking even about
how they're showing up
business or something. And then you're quietly questioning yourself in your reality. That there's this big, huge gap between where they're at and where I'm at. But, all we're seeing is their highlight reels, aren't we? Or their, what they're happy to share online, that polished professional version, where you and I are really real, and we just love to talk about how life is and how we are. And we might talk about this fear of rejection from our clients. We might talk about how we mess things up sometimes or make mistakes or we doubt ourselves, and our parts are just as important as clients. So I think it's a good one to check in on, that comparison kind of culture that's out there because of social media. Is that feeding your self-doubt?
And I think if you even kind of broaden that idea too, it's not just what you consume online that is problematic. It's also the environments that you're in. So I know for me, like, I've been in environments before where there's this expectation that we should, right? And when you're sensitive to other people and their expectations, you can easily fall into the trap of imposter syndrome, right? Like, I now need to pretend that I've got my shit together, that I know what I'm doing with that client, that I'm organized, that I'm this and that I'm that, because there's a work environment that sets it up where you actually don't get to be transparent and you don't get to ask for help. And so I think it's also checking in with yourself and being like, is the environment that I'm working in or surrounded by, or is my mentor or my supervisor, are they somebody who allows me to come in and be vulnerable and to share my parts and to help me grow? Or is there the expectations or the shoulds where I feel like I can't do that? Because that will lead you into feeling like the imposter, because it's not safe to say, hey, I'm not okay, or I need some help with something.
That's right. Yeah. I think that's a really vital key, because I remember in my community services years, we would constantly be doing professional development as a whole building of people supporting, frontline in the community. But we'd also have our annual performance reviews.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had varied experiences, because certain program managers or supervisors would conduct their performance or appraisals or reviews in some ways, and others are different. They're different human warmth or element to that. And I think that did play a huge part in my confidence and whether I could take my learning gaps or where my struggles were to my supervisor or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my ability to go away with shoulders held high and head held high because I'm doing a great job and I got this valuable feedback, keep going, Ali.
Yeah.
Versus, oh no, they're seeing something in me that I feel within myself I'm failing at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that comfort and that, the people around you really matter, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something you just said tripped my brain too, because the other thing is that I do think all humans, we need validation, right? We need to be told that we're doing a good job. But there's two problems with that, right? Like if somebody's giving you false information about how well you're doing, then that's also going to feed your imposter syndrome, because again, it's somebody's expectation of like, you're doing a really good job, but inside you're like, actually, I'm not and I need help. So therefore now I can't tell you, so I've got to keep pretending. Or the flip of that is you might actually be doing a really fucking good job and somebody's criticizing you. And so then you lose that ability to trust yourself.
Yes.
And so even the person that you're getting feedback from, which might sound well-meaning, is really important when we're looking at self-confidence, self-worth, self-trust, all of self-doubt, all of the selves.
Yeah. That's a valuable point, because we don't go to every, we have to be discerning ourselves in who I go to when I feel angry, the same, we're going to have to be discerning in the motives or the relationship and nature of the connection with the person we're going to for that feedback.
Right. And that's all about building that trust with whoever that might be as well.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I think too, Ali, I don't know about you, but our conditioning plays a huge role
It does.
in imposter syndrome, right? So for me, it's like, oh my God, I've got to be the good girl. And then if I would do something that wasn't in alignment with that identity, then it'd be like, oh my God, I'm an imposter and I'm horrible. Or I know yours is a bit more perfectionistic, right?
Definitely. I've got that, perfectionism. And I don't even know where that came from. I don't always need to, but just catching it in real time, as you say, and knowing it's a pattern that I may fall back into. Yeah. And being able to have a faster recovery rate.
Right. And knowing that those things, whether it be good girl, perfectionism, making
high achiever.
Like none of those things mean that you're imposter. They actually mean that you're human.
And I think let's throw into the mix the culture in your workplace. We're talking about our different supervisors and how they may make us feel related to constructive criticism or, positive feedback and things. But just the overall culture in the organisation that you're working within or your business, that really matters too, because we influence each other. Those beautiful connections that we form do weigh on whether we're feeling like, you go, girl, you got this.
Yeah.
Hold on, who do you think you are?
I don't got this, right?
Yeah. And so I think it's valuable to remember too, self-doubt is a human thing, not a clinician thing.
No.
And so it actually doesn't begin in the therapy room or when you become a clinician. It simply follows us there.
I love that.
It shows up there too, doesn't it? All of our parts and patterns and conditioning.
The thing that I think about imposter syndrome is that there's this really shit thing, right? The minute you're growing and you're in it and you're like, oh my God, I'm so confident, I know this season and I know what I'm doing, the minute you want to grow from that moment, the shit's going to show up again.
Of course.
Like the minute you step into something, and I think you said like uncertain or unfamiliar or something that you don't know yet, imposter syndrome is going to show up again.
Because what you say, and I'm going to agree with you, is your capacity to hold the next version of you, your next becoming, or your ability to expand or have the solid foundation and things in order for you to step into that. it needs to be solid. It needs to be sorted.
Yeah.
And so it is like each time you hit that ceiling or that point, spirit or your road is going to ask something more of you, or let's make sure this has got like some sure footing before we leap into that next version.
Yeah.
So that, again, it comes back to self-trust, knowing you trust yourself, trust your training, trust your quality of therapeutic relationship, trust your seasons and cycles you're moving through, trust your colleagues that you surround yourself with.
Yeah.
It's so much around self-trust, isn't it?
It really is. And I think it's also about trusting yourself to language what's actually going on versus the story you tell yourself. So the story you tell yourself is I'm an imposter and I can't. Whereas what is actually going on is that imposter syndrome is showing up as information that there's probably room to grow or there's room to learn.
And it's probably a sign of progress.
Literally, right?
Yeah. Because again, it's not
We're at the next level.
It's not showing up unless you're striving and progressing.
Yeah, you're leaning into the new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there, like, if you're having a moment of self-doubt, Sky, in your day-to-day or in your expansion phases that you've been through so far, what helps you come back to a place of self-trust or confidence? Because for me, like I said to you before, it's around, like, I really value how the feedback that I'm getting from the people I'm supporting.
Yeah.
If someone says to me, oh, Ali, I feel like I've grown so much, or I understand myself better, like, that really helps that self
Feedback to be all right. Yeah, nice.
Yes. What is it for you, though?
I'm a talker. So I like to talk out loud what's in my head. And then by doing that, I feel like I just kind of process and work my way through it. And sometimes I can do it by myself in the car. Like I'm driving home and I'll, let's just say I came out of a session, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so, like, why did I do that? Oh, that's so bad, blah, blah, blah. And I'll just kind of talk myself off the ledge and talk myself through it. And a lot of the time I can get to a conclusion and then I'm okay. But if I don't get to that conclusion or I'm uncertain, then I find my people.
Yeah.
And I kind of do that process with my people because I know that the feedback that I get from them will be feedback that I can use in real time.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's lovely, Sky. Thank you for sharing that about yourself too and how it works for you. So I think some of our key takeaways from today is that self-doubt or imposter syndrome isn't a weakness in us.
No, and it's not just singling you out, people. Like, we all experience it.
That's right. It's a sign of progress and probably a growth or expansion phase in your life.
And that you give a fuck about whatever's going on.
Exactly. That healthy humility makes us better therapists, doesn't it? Being able to remember to grow, debrief, have supervision, do the professional development, and make it be okay that you don't know something. Be that lifelong learner, seek that support you need, keep reaching outside of yourself when you need it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And self-trust is built, as is confidence.
Yes.
Not something that's innate or just there.
It's built in the doing.
Yeah. Or in the verbal processing.
Yes.
And you don't need to have it all figured out or do it perfect to make a meaningful difference in the people's lives that you support. So we just want to let you know that if there is anything today that you want to reflect on a little deeper, we've created a reflective guide for you. If you'd like to download it, please check in the link below this podcast. It's waiting there for you to receive. Don't forget to rate and review or share this podcast with a friend.
Yeah, it's a thing we know now.
And be sure to join us in the next episode of Beyond the Therapy Room.